Okay, let's do a longer video like we used to. Today, I'll just read a few things that I've written over the years and see where we go. The first thing I want to start with is titled The Most Powerful Need in the Human Psyche. So, the need for the feminine mystery of a mystic experience, the transpersonal experience of lifting the veil of all duality, and the living experience of a unity in eternity is the most powerful need in the human psyche. It's far stronger than all the material values we are bombarded with everyday life, such as sex, power, or economic prosperity. It is indeed. If these were such a success, we all would be well, whole, content, and enchanted with life. But this is far from the present reality of epidemic of depression, disenchantment, and loss of wonder of life. The crisis of consciousness, that is the loss of identity with the invisible oneness, the soul. Exactly. Let me comment on this a little. My whole life, if you like, has been lived more or less from within, especially the second part of life. In the earlier part of life, when you're a kid, when you are growing up, you don't have much of a choice. You have to listen, you have to go along with the adults, as it were, with with school, with your parents first of all, then perhaps with what you're told in the kindergarten, then later with school, then university, and then even later you're so programmed by then that you don't know that you even have an inner life. My haircut is a bit funny today, but that's all right. Do you know what I'm saying? You've forgotten that there is this dimension, this deeper dimension of the soul, of the psyche, that wants to communicate with you. And the original communication was always dreams and intuition. Later it became art. So if we look at some caves, for instance, in south of France, northern Spain, the Dardanelles region, you have these caves which are 17,000 year old paintings within them. So this is one of the earliest attempts to put into art this inner dimension that is trying to come through. And a lot of these paintings, yes, there were animals and hunting scenes and so on, but there were also animals or construction of supernatural animals. This was our earliest attempt of giving a picture to this spirit, to this dimension of our psyche, of a human psyche that was there, that we couldn't explain, and that was actually helping us. For instance, in hunts, during a hunt, you would see that the animals had something in them that we also had, but we could see it in the animal a lot more. It was a lot more visible, because the animal had this sense of connecting to this oneness, to this energy, to this universe, if you like. It sensed danger before the danger arrived. It sensed where to look for food, where to look for water. We learned, we have that inherently in us, but we saw that far because the animal became a mirror to us. So we saw that reflected in the animal, so we painted the animal on the walls of the caves. The deepest part of the cave usually had the most magical animal. That was the magical part of the psyche, the magical part of our soul. And even to this day, if you go really, really deep inside, you will have the human hands painted on the wall. spray painted on the wall. You know, you put your hand against the wall, the deepest part of the wall, and you blow paint over it, usually red paint, yeah, ochre. And that was the human's need to get in touch with the other side. What is behind the wall? Yeah. So that is by far the oldest and the deepest need of human psyche. Of humanity. You cannot become whole without it. You can read as many books as you like. You can watch videos. You can get your instructions from outside. Go and see gurus and go and see conferences and listen. But that's not it. To be whole, you gotta turn inward, like we used to do for instructions. That was the whole role of a shaman, or a witch, or a mystic. They were the ones in the community which had contact with these special powers, these invisible powers of the spirit. And we used to go and ask them for advice or for help or for healing. So that is, let me have a look at it again. That is the deepest, the deepest. It's not it's the part that is missing. And we are the most powerful need in the human psyche. Without this, you cannot be whole. That's my whole work is referring to this. And I've been writing about it. I have been making videos for you about it. I've been writing books about it. I've been doing little posts, like like this. You know, little posts, so it's easy to understand. My latest book, The Stone in Your Hand, I wrote it because I had instructions from a dream that after writing the more deeper depth psychology, the deeper symbolic journey to the center, to the most inward center, the collective part of the psyche, in using language perhaps more for people that are more familiar with that language. Now I had to write a book that it's for everyone. Everyone can understand in a really simple way of writing. And for me, it's more difficult to do it that way than doing the first two books, especially Where We Dream the Single Dream. That's how I talk. It's easy. When you're intuitive, you're looking for symbols, connecting symbols, the language of the soul, especially mythological symbols, archetypal symbols. That's just the way things are when you're intuitive. Intuition looks for its own language of the psyche, and it recognizes it in movies, when someone talks, when you watch even a documentary or anything. You can see the symbols, what relates this to the soul, to your psyche, to our psyche. It's not just your psyche, our psyche. Yeah. So the deepest need, the most powerful need in the human psyche is to have these experiences, to activate your intuition. It's not that difficult. You just gotta get out of your own way and listen. You know when you get the ringing in your ear? That's it. Something is being downloaded into you, communicated into you. And something happens, and you know in an instant, bang, and you get it. I gotta close the app. I'm still using the old phone, and it wants to close apps that are no longer working. Yeah? So that's the first thing I want to talk about. Let's see what else. Okay. So there's another thing that I wrote. The only way for us to move forward and save ourselves and this, a beautiful world, is to move inward. It's the same thing, but it's true. Experience rebirth from a mortal lump of dying flesh, exactly, because that's what we are told that we are. We're nothing more. And if you listen to the advice from outside, from authorities in society, they're going to tell you, oh, you know, we're just a a body that eventually is going to die, and that's it. You know, whatever happens during your lifetime, that's all there is. There's more. So experience rebirth from a mortal lump of dying flesh into immortal goddess immanent in all creation, our oneness. We cannot move forward as humanity without understanding our oneness. Do you know what I'm saying? Because we still get divided by politicians and religions and traditions. You get divided as soon as you're born into this world. Your family is, your society is going to give you a name, it's going to give you a dress, it's going to give you a family, and then your family is going to give you your traditions. Society gives you the traditions too, but if your family is going to give you your traditions, your religion, your language, your address, and that's what you remain for the rest of your life. But it's more than that, a lot more than that. You are a unique embodiment of the universe, of this mystery that created the entire universe. And each and every one of us is the same. You're simply a branch of the single tree of this energy consciousness. If we don't learn this, we don't understand, we're going to keep on fighting with each other for resources. The strongest are going to be always dominating the weakest, because that's the whole purpose of life. There's nothing in between. You're born, you have to survive, and then you die. And how you survive, it depends on how aggressive you are towards others. Not realizing that the others are not others, they're just simply another incarnation of you. When you understand this oneness, the interconnectedness of everything, your whole life, your whole attitude towards the whole world softens. You cannot hurt somebody else knowing that, yes, that's just me, but another unique creation. Whether it is animals, nature, trees, other human beings. Remember, we're only divided by traditions, by borders, by language, by religion, by politicians. That's all that divides us. Underneath all this, there are no divisions. Like I said so many times, we appear different on the surface, but underneath, we're like plants. We appear different on the surface, but underneath, we are all rooted in the same ground. Yeah? Let's do another one. What else did I say? Oh, rupture of the meeting of the eyes. Meeting of the eyes. What does that mean? Well, I'll read it first and then I'll comment on it. Okay, why do we have our own archetypal dreams, visions, and creative intuitions? Make a return inward to our very own mystic experience of the ground of being. Well, that's the meeting of the eyes. So that instead of relying on someone else's reports, which are often hand-me-downs of events long ago and profoundly misunderstood, we have our very own knowing. And when someone says, that the myth of Orpheus, descent into the underworld, and Inanna's journey to reunion with her immortal part, her sister goddess of the afterlife, is the same myth? And you reply, yes, I know, I journeyed inward and backward to the same source too. And in that rapture of the meeting of the eyes, you're meeting your own divine part, stood on the ground of life, identifying with our divinity, cosmic soul, dwelling there. In other words, the meeting of the eyes, what I'm trying to say here, it is that you have identified with that divine part within you, the all in us all. And that divine part within you is the same divine part that is in everyone. It is not different. My hair is yeah. It's not different. We all have, the river that runs in you is the same river that runs in everyone. In me. I think Rumi said that. That's what I'm trying to communicate. That is really the message. The highest form of enlightenment is understanding this unity in diversity, in this oneness. And then being an independent actor, if you like, in this oneness. So you don't get you understand that what we are and what everything is, or what everyone is. And you remove yourself then from society, as it were. It dictates on you, so you get your instructions only from within afterwards. That's the whole point of spirituality. You live in a completely different way. A lone wolf. I've did videos and I've written about it as well. A lone wolf is very, very important archetype. Yeah, you become self-reliant. Look at the way the world is heading right now. If you go to the local supermarket, what do you see? You walk in, you grab a basket, and you go from aisle to aisle. You help yourself. Yeah, there isn't anyone there like in the old days helping you or giving it to you. You tell them what you want and they give it to you. You do it yourself. And then you come out to the cashier, and the cashier, you do it yourself as well. It's not someone there doing it for you. Yeah, look at the way internet has developed. What it has done. You can do everything by yourself now. You don't need to rely on other people. You become self-reliant. I gotta keep closing this app. You know, all my books, all 3 books are self-published. I couldn't have done that without the internet. You have all sorts of sites now on the internet that allow you to self-publish your books. You don't need mediators anymore. That's the whole point. Now, it's the same with, for instance, with religion. You needed for centuries and centuries we were told we needed a mediator to mediate between you and God. Now you don't. We're entering what's called the age of the Spirit, Holy Spirit. We had age of the Father, the Old Testament, age of the Son, the age of the Church, the mediator, and now we're entering the age of the Holy Spirit. Direct access. Your own direct access to that mystery, to that spirit that communicates through you. And that's art. That's me writing. That's you writing. That's all the books. Especially where we drink the single dream. It was all, everything is there that it mediated. Like the little post, the little poetry that I write. Many, like Rumi or Hafez, they mediated these things. They had direct access to it. This is where we're going. Yeah, everything. You're no longer gonna need people telling you what to do. You have your own. We had this before. We lost it. In a different way, of course. Thousands of years ago, when we lived by ourselves, and you had to rely on your own inner resources for hunting, for survival, for finding food, for finding water, like animals. People relied on their intuition a lot more. And we're going back to the same thing now, except that we've made it a lot more complicated. The whole earth is now really interconnected through the internet. So this is where we're going. You're interconnected to the whole, plugged in, if you like, to the whole, what should we call it, the grid of the soul. That interconnects not only here on Earth, everything, but the entire universe. So this is where we're going with the new, and what it happens is that the countries that used to be under colonies, if you like, the Western colonies, which still, for the last 500 years were really, really powerful and controlled everything. The last colony, if you like, the last empire is the US now. But that's all falling apart. And you have countries that are becoming independent, are fighting back, no longer wanting to be told what to do. The style of government, the style of financial, of economy, of the way they dress, what they watch, what they eat. That was all imposed, that's still imposed. The Western style. They want to have their own. And that comes from this new age rolling in. The age of the Holy Spirit is the age of the independent. You stand by yourself and you rely on yourself. You could say that's the archetype of the lone wolf. is what is actually bringing us into this new future. You know, you can publish your own books by yourself. You don't need to wait until someone approves you, find a house that will publish you and so on. You can do it yourself, and it's, even if you find, these days, even if you find a publisher, you have to bring your own readers. They don't give you the readers like they used to. You got to bring your own readers now with you. You have to have followers, millions of followers, before they even consider to publish you. So I'm out straight away because I don't have millions of followers at all. I'm teaching people how to be independent, not to follow me. I'm teaching you how to do it yourself. That's the whole point. That's the archetype that we are moving in now. The age of the Holy Spirit, the age of the lone wolf. Yeah? But that's probably the good time to finish this video before I ramble on more. So, like I promised, I've done a longer video. We talked about a few bits and bobs. The new age, this is really, really important. People call it the age of Aquarius. But really, you can call it the age of the Holy Spirit. You had the age of the Father, the age of the Son, and now the age of the Holy Spirit. So direct access to the being plugged in, like into the internet. You have access to everything. Not only the human consciousness, the collective consciousness or collective unconscious, but the entire universe. Not only that, you actually, if you're plugged in, if you're really sensitive, you're plugged in, like inventor, you can invent things because you have access to, it will give you answers if you want to. If you stay with the question in your dreams or visions or intuitively, it will give you answers to problems that you want to solve. Inventing new things. That's how invention works. All inventors work that way. Look up the story of Nikola Tesla. That's how he worked. He was plugged into this deeper, wider, this invisible dimension which gave him the answers. And so we have now AC current, we've got electric motors, wireless, radio. He invented all these and many, many other things. So this is the new age. We're moving into this new age of being plugged into this wider field of oneness, not only through the internet collectively, but through to this dimension of the soul, of the spirit, if you like, which can solve things not only economic and personal, but collective, universal. Yeah. All right. So I'll leave it here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.